Well, it's no longer news that some ministers have actually been shown the way out, and some been appointed, reshuffling, so many things happening in the system right now. Some persons are actually of the opinion that this is timely, while others have a lot of questions. Some Nigerians are actually wondering, are these the people to really be shown the way out? The people coming in, how effective are they going to be? Some persons were saying, hey, come on, is this not just too short to know whether or not someone will be productive, while others are of the school of thought that, well, within a year, if any minister is going to be performing, it should be obvious. But then, are these all the ministers that you feel should be shown the way out? These are questions in the hearts of Nigerians. Today, we will be looking at these issues from some perspective, just throwing light to it, doing a little analysis, bringing our thoughts, not what you may be thinking, because as it is right now, Nigerians are thinking of so many things. Part of what you're thinking will shed light on it today. And of course, I have with me someone who has been with me on the program before, not a global morning anyway. He is an economist, a development economist, and he is actually going to be adding his voice to the conversation today. But then there is one thing I want all of us to know, and that's the fact that Nigeria is a great nation, and we are moving somewhere. I have with me today Aliu Elias. He is an economist and a development expert. It's good to have you on the program this morning.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
The smile alone is worth billions. You know, when Nigerians are going through so much and you have some people giving you beautiful smiles in the morning, I think the smile alone is enough to get to
be one of the happiest nations in the world, no matter the pains.
Please, I want you to say that again.
We are one of the happiest country in the world. No matter the challenges, we still move. So we move.
So how did you feel with the news of the accident? In one of the papers, it was called an explosion, explosive decision, explosive reshuffling. What do you think? What came to your mind when you heard that news yesterday, Aliu?
For me, I think it's over-exaggerated, because you could recall that about 4 months ago, we've been getting to hear, hey, we'll reshuffle, the president will reshuffle. You know, you start hearing different things, and by the time we get to hear it yesterday, it's just to see the names. And now we have seen the name, we've seen reshuffle, we've seen people that are shown way out, we've seen new incoming ministers, so to say, as well. I think it's a good one, and it's quite, I think it's a good one, because if you recall that we are coming from President Muhammadu Buhari 8 years, whereby we have ministers have been in power for good 8 years, no major reshuffle. I think it's only one person that was shown the way out, and within 8 years, people are just doing the way they actually like. But with this one, I think there's now check and balance. And this will show a signal to other ministers that if you don't do well, if they can show some people way out 1 year, maybe 2 months as minister, you can also be shown way out. Though we've seen the name we don't expect to see, we've also seen who we expect that should be out that are still in.
Okay, I think I like that aspect. Well, I'm not going to ask you to call names.
Sure.
I won't ask you to call names. I would have said, okay, who do you think is not supposed to be there? But then a lot of people have raised eyebrows for some of the people that were asked out. Some people, some Nigerians were saying some of these ministers would have been given a little more time. Do you have any minutes among those that were asked that you feel would have been given a little more time also?
Right. I think if you are given a responsibility and you have 1 year to perform, you have to prove yourself that, yes, this is 1 year, and you want to, these are what you want to do. You know, it's not about total performance, but we would have seen your trajectory, that this is what you are trying to do. And the only people that I can give excuse for are the new ministries. You know, there are about 3 new ministries, which they have to start from zero start, bringing things like Minister of Blue Economy, Minister of Steel, and Minister of Mining. You see these three, you could give them time that, okay, they're still coming up with their strategy, their framework, their policy. But talk about other ministries that everything is on ground already. You only need to maximize the directors in the ministries and the permanent secretary. Then you have your result. Because you are not expected to be a professional. And a good example is Festus, is it Keyamo? Keyamo is doing well in aviation. And he's a known lawyer. So if he can get there, maximize the knowledge within and perform, I think it is expected that you have to perform within a year.
You just gave Festus Keyamo a pass mark now, the Minister of Aviation. Well,
right.
He's been up and doing quite well, but some persons were raising some form of eyebrow for that of the Minister of Women Affairs. I don't know. Do you have, because some Nigerians are saying she has not really done badly so far, looking at what's on ground.
Right. I think issue is much more of if they show it, the way they show her out, I want to believe it's because of the controversy around her. I don't think I think she does not really manage her optics. As a minister, optics matters. You will recall that he handled an issue that relates to the Speaker of Niger State. He handled an issue that has to do with a lot of about 3 issues. Sometimes have you seen the video where the ministry are jubilating? You didn't see the video. So it was a serious jubilation.
It was a serious jubilation.
Everybody was saying she's gone. Oh, we are happy. Oh, she's out. Oh, for such, that shows that she doesn't manage the optics very well. You could be performing. Like I mentioned, Keyamo could be decisive in nature, but he still know how to manage people very well. So I think that could be the reasons why she was shown well. In terms of being up and doing, I can tell you she's proactive. Before she even become minister, she's been doing well in terms of helping women and doing other support.
Okay, we don't know what criteria the president have used to ask these persons to go, because some Nigerians are saying these ministers were actually screened before they came into office. And one very amazing thing is the fact that there was jubilation when the Minister of Women Affairs was asked to step down, was asked out. Now, do you think the people in the ministry have also contributed to the sack of the minister in a way? Because obviously there may have been letters flying, okay, maybe petitions that we may not know. But then, looking at other ministries, do you think people in the ministry have the right to petition ministers that are not doing well? And is it good for the people at the top, the presidency, to look into such petitions and act on it as appropriate?
Right. When you become minister, you are seen as a leader of that agency. And as a leader, you're expected to carry some people along because you are temporal. Right, this position is temporal, 4 years, 2 years, 8 years as it were. But those people are there; they've been there before you. They see a lot of things, so they will know if you're actually performing and if you're not performing. And if you don't allow them to breathe, that's another problem. They know how to handle it. So, and that's why I said the minister does not really, manage those people very well. I'm assuming now. So another thing you ask is about petitioning. I think petitioning can come in different ways. It could be anonymous. Someone in that agency could send an anonymous petition, or could even hire somebody outside, download the details on how to actually, fire the minister and send it to any anti-graft agency, or even direct to the president. So I think that's possible. However, and that's why I said she needs then administratively, if you're not very good in administration, it's also a problem in terms of protocol. So when these directors, these people in the ministry thinks you are not recognizing them, maybe you jump at them in a lot of things, they find a way to show you out. It also reflects in that Ministry of Humanitarian and Disaster Management. You recall that's exactly what actually played out. They were, according to what we get to hear, is that she does not really take those people along. You recall that when they approve some money, Palm Secretary will say, no, I am not aware of it. Or there is a particular line they will use, do as directed. That statement is heavy. that simply means it is as directed by the organ on the top. It's not my own. I did not support it. You know, there's a language this ministry people use that once you see, they themselves can interpret what is simply. So as a minister, you just have to, you know, take your time to understand the processes and manage people effectively.
All right, thank you very much, Aliu. Now, let's look at the people that are coming in. Other people are taking this position. We heard that the wife of Ojukwu, Bianca Ojukwu, is coming in as foreign affairs, you know, and a lot of other persons also coming in. We also have Yelwada as that's Netwaye, Yelwada as Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction. That's a ministry that's very key, looking at what is happening in Nigeria right now. These people coming in, is there anyone from whom you are expecting so much that you say, wow, this one is what we call a round peg in a round hole?
Right. You know, I'm one of the proponents that says that we should not cancel or abolish Minister of Humanitarian Affairs. Because I remember in my thesis, I made it clear that we must institutionalize poverty reduction. You know, you don't just do poverty reduction without you recall Obasanjo have NAPEP, you win, you know, wealth creation, NSI, you know. Buhari now think if we continue to do poverty reduction and we don't institutionalize it, that's why I bring about that ministry. So I think it's a good thing that President is retaining that ministry. You know why? All the poverty alleviation program must be accountable to a minister, which the minister will actually oversee those things. So now this incoming person, my only problem is that I think there's a systemic error in that ministry. And how do I mean that is systemic error? You know the process of issuing out poverty reduction program, palliative. You recall that there used to be direct transfer. We call it money transfer. So you bring money to someone's account, and that person will now be doling it out, which is quite wrong. Every money must pass through bank so that there will be accountability.
But do we really have accountability in Nigeria? Because some persons will tell you what we only have is giving out responsibility, but no accountability.
Yes, that's why I said there must be system, correction. Once there's a process correction, the process. If you abuse that process, that is the corruption itself, right? But if you give person money, you give someone 50 million to go and share to 1,000 people, the person will do it at his or her discretion. That's you. I'm supposed to give you 50,000, take 35,000. Sign that you have collected 50,000. A lot of things can happen. But if it's a process that will show that, okay, it is evidential that this is the amount you gave to me and this amount transferred, that could be possible. So for me, that agency need to be have a process issue. Then there's other agency under it. I forgot the name now. The one that the person handing it is also with EFCC. I mean, the case is with EFCC. The person also that's also need to be corrected so as that the person will be accountable to the minister. So it's very, very important that we look into those areas. And in terms of some minister that was out, I must also say this. I was surprised that we see Minister of Education Tahir way out. It's the most surprising thing because if you ask me to choose best 10 minister, I would choose the Minister of education. He's well experienced and is doing well. So it's important that that immediately they say that person should go. I was surprised, maybe because of the thing he brought, which is about age of people to enter university. I'm thinking, could that be the reason why they are saying he should be out? Because the minister is well experienced, and I think he can do better. He has also reviewed the curriculum whereby they said, as a student within secondary school, you must learn either plumbing or other handwork that can be of benefit.
Okay, that's fantastic. It is still the discussion around the action that came from the president just yesterday that's bringing a lot of reactions from people. As it is right now, let's quickly look at what's happening from the Niger Delta. Because there's been some agitations because of the scrapping of the Niger Delta ministry. Now, Another statesman, Edwin Clark, has been in almost all the papers this morning. He has been somehow agitative of the fact that that decision was a wrong one. That's what he said. Then in other places, he said, well, you can't use the money from Niger Delta to develop other regions. Then some persons were also of the opinion that not all the regions were being captured. And the person was specific about the North Central. Okay, so looking at all of this now, what is your own thought about this situation right now?
All right, to have a clarification in that area, I'll take you back to Bianca Ojukwu. Now, according to people, immediately they saw Bianca, they said politics 2027, right? Politics has just begun because they think it's like more of settlement. But the thing is, we know her to be Abga, so I don't know how, if she has actually converted to APC, or perhaps maybe they are trying to bring in more people from other party. They call it, is it inclusivity?
Inclusivity. That's one of the things the president even promised when he was coming into
when
office.
we see, I think it's a good one that we saw her coming in. It brings balance because, you know, when you bring prominent people from the eastern part of Nigeria, it brings much more maybe inclusivity, as you said. Now, going to Edwin Clark at over 90. Is still contributing to the development of Nigeria. Now, for him to say, you know, when I saw the ministry being scrapped, I quickly do my fact check. How about NDDC? And I discovered that NDDC still exists. I think that actually cater for Niger Delta. Because if you look at why they even have that, why Yaradua, I think it's why Yaradua concept to have that ministry. You know, he gave them amnesty and institute that ministry. So I think NDDC can actually do that work effectively. You know, it's like a double thing for me. Ministry of Niger Delta, and you also have NDDC. So I think NDDC can cover up very well. But he also make a very strong statement that they're using money of Niger Delta to develop other. You know, most people want to say before the oil, there was something before. And now oil is becoming a commodity that we have found it in Kogi. We are now looking at people around Niger Basin or River Basin. So a lot of things. So it's becoming more. And for me, I don't think they have been neglected to an extent because things have been. You know, we recall that even during the Yaradua, there was education, massive education to people of Niger Delta. Developed there. We also have Super Deck. They have developed a lot of. So I think they should hold the head of Niger, the NDDC, more responsible. So, and they should ask for their own right or their own interest through NDDC. The ministry can be for, what do they call it now? Regional Development Ministry. And then I'm also surprised that we call the regional ministry. Is it that the bill on North Central that is in National Assembly, they're anticipating that it's going to come up, and when it come up, North Central will also be recognized because that's a ministry does not recognize all the regional government that will actually have. Then now, if we now say Niger Delta is for resources, are you not going to say there is going to be south-south development, you know, in terms of region, because it's not there too. So I think maybe over time they have to, because for me, I see more trouble for that regional ministry. You know, there will be a lot of agitation. You know, this region will say you are not serving me as expected. This region will say because Mr. President is from my own area, you need to give us more allocation. So they have to be very, very careful in managing that. And that could also lead to much more of agitation, because you would think that yes, we call region, and this region have 5 billion, this one have, why are you giving us 2 billion? You know, it becomes another problem. So in as much as we have states that are responsible directly, for me, I think it's a double trouble that we want to create with that region.
Double trouble being created in that region. While you were speaking, something came to my mind, because you remember what happened at the Niger Delta during that agitation. You know, people problem everywhere. Then that ministry came to address their situation. Now we have the Boko Haram, who are also saying we need negotiation. Now we're talking about regionalization. Now, like you rightly said, What do you think should be done so that we don't have more agitations? Remember the Yoruba nation going to the United Kingdom
Yes,
to
to
submit that petition.
Right.
You know, these are so many things that are unforeseen circumstances that may spring up as a result of these policies, these decisions. What do you think should be done to avert situations like this? Because if we keep having agitations, there won't be that oneness, that unity that we preach, that we feel should be able to bring us to where we want to be.
I think the challenge starts from Northeast Development Commission. You know, in as much as we have NEMA, I know we have a lot of Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs that cater to any maybe force majeure, any act of God, or any emergency situation that require urgent need. We have these people that cater to it. Why creating that as well? So from there we go to the South. People of Southeast now propose their own. Now Southeast Development Commission. Before you know, Northwest also are suffering bandits. You know, Southeast is actually suffering from erosion. You know, which can be handled with Ministry of Ministry of Water Resources and other ministries. So developing now is what we want to know. Are you now saying you want to develop them economically? Because if you look at all the situations, none of them is economic development. Because if in terms of economic, you now say, okay, the north, you have granules. Okay, let's create a comparative advantage, you know, in that area. Okay, the southwest, you have gold. Let's create a business and comparative advantage. The south, these are what you actually have. If it's economic, you know, agitation and economic development, that would have been a good thing. But from what is happening is because of the challenges in one way or the other, which is not healthy for Nigeria. It may not be bring a meaningful development, but rather may divide us the more. Because people will say, okay, you are supporting these people with so billion. Because we don't have case now, you have to also support us with a particular amount. So for me, I think it should be based on economic contribution of each region that will now bring you your benefit. You know, they will now say, okay, in this north central, our major hub is agriculture. Now, we want to make sure that we feed the whole Africa. You know, these are the development that I think we should do, not this area where this trajectory we are heading to. We have to be careful. In fact, I hold it with cautious optimism.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Ali. As it is right now, let's just get to the decision that came up yesterday by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, talking about His Excellency Ahmed Bola TINUBU, thus asking some ministers, okay, then bringing in some other ministers, appointing some ministers, then reshuffling of ministries and agencies. Is that pointing to anything positive? Because what Nigerians are facing right now is the hardship. Whatever that is being done by the federal government that doesn't address that situation directly, Nigerians may feel nothing has been done, even though it's a means to an end per se. But then what Nigerians are actually looking for right now is when they can say, well, this hardship, we can go to the market, get food, we can move from one place to the other, price of fuel has come down and all of that. How do you think this asking of some ministers, bringing in some other reshuffling of ministries translate into benefiting Nigerians and cushioning the effect of the policies that has brought us to where we are right now as Nigerians?
Well, in as much as we do not know or we are not privy to President reasons, you know, it's at his whims and caprices to say, okay, you go here, you come there. He has the right to do that. But the thing is, if you ask me as an economist, I've not seen how this action will translate to economic development. It might bring about performance, but it might not bring to economy. You know why? The major where we have challenges, it does not touch it. We have challenges with electricity, which we can all see is clear. We have challenge with oil, PMS, LPG, even CNG. We've not seen anything. KRI still remain. The Minister of Petroleum is still there, which is the President. The Minister of State is there. The Minister for Gas is there. The Adilabu is also there. So that is where we actually have serious issues, you know, and the Minister of Transport is still there. So for me, economically, I don't see it translate to that. The only thing I could see is that it could lead to much more performance. Perhaps they have seen the weakness of some people, you know, Ministry of State for Education moving to another one, Minister of Health, you know, moving to, you know, that could only say that, okay, we have observed that this person portfolio is not what. The only thing we will also see is that in the Ministry of Youth, we've seen that he sacked the top minister and bring the state minister to the top, and he's also abolish Ministry of Sports Development, you know, change it to Sports Commission, you know, and also move the minister to Minister of State somewhere. So that's just what we actually are saying. But I can only say that, well, because he's doing that, it may bring more consciousness to all the ministers that, okay, oh, if you are not doing well, these are presidents can at any time, and that's the beauty of it. It shows that the president is in charge. At any point in time, he may resolve that you are not doing well somewhere and change it. So it will make them to be performing better. But I wish the SA administration, Usman, is it Bala Usman, to come out and say, okay, these are the criteria, because we've not seen an exact criteria for changing them or for bringing new ministers. But I think these new ministers that are coming, it's another challenge for them. Then some people are also saying, I know there's always a theory. They are saying that perhaps he thinks he has settled them politically. Maybe it's more of settlement that, okay, you have done 1 year, 4 months. It's enough. You can now take the bow. Because being a minister in Nigeria, even for 3 months, we know what it actually means. It's in terms of reputation, you know, a lot of things actually come with such a portfolio.
Yeah, Nigerians are thinking in that direction because everyone is looking at this situation from different perspectives. But then let's get to the issue of cutting down cost of governance. That's what a lot of people have been asking for. And that has translated into 1 or 2 things, as it has to do with reshuffling of ministries. But then cutting down, sacking 5 and making 7 fresh nominations. Don't you think that is incurring more, because 5 gone, then 7 coming in, and we're talking about cutting down the cost of governance. I just don't want to go to the fact that House of Reps sometimes said, well, we're going to give up a part of our salary, which never translated into anything because they said bureaucracy played out. Does it mean these ministers, time will come that they will say, okay, we want to give part of our salary for the average Nigerians who are suffering or something? So let's look at cutting down cost of governance.
No doubt. The more you have minister, the more you incur more money. That simply means you have to buy his own SUV. He will have his SA. You have an agency. I think the only new ministry, you know, okay, let's do it -2 + 1. That's what they do now, right? I think that's correct. We now have Ministry of Livestock, and the suspended Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was showing way out. Another person actually comes in. But my own is that we always say we want to implement Orosaye report, which I always say it's not possible again. As at the time Orosaye bring that report, I don't think we have more than 400 agencies. Now we have more than 1,000 agencies. So I'm thinking, what I expect them is to come with, I think it's even long overdue, according to them, that they want to implement it. They need to come together and see other agencies that looks alike, just like Ministry of Tourism, and Ministry of Tourism and Creative Art and Creative Economy. You know, for me, even the woman they actually remove, I was thinking, you know, it's at present discretion. No? You show one way out and you now retain the other one. For me, I don't want to be a prophet of doom, but I don't see even the other one performing well too, because if there's anything that should give us money within a year, what I expected was our creative economy. You know that Nigeria is becoming a content country in the world. How have you maximized? Let me give you a good example. A film could be streamlined in Nigeria, and the person who produced the film will be declaring 1 billion naira profit, and the federal government does not get 5 million from that, the question is that the person will ask, what does federal government contribute to that? And I believe federal government contribute to that, the person would have made like 2 billion. Federal government will be comfortably collect 100 million from it. So I think it's a function of the creative economy, art and creative economy, to do more in that area. So sometimes I even think they should give them KPI, that these are the indicators. These are what I expect you to do as minister. You should be able to generate so and so amount for the country. So for me, that want to bring about reduction in our governance expenditure, I still doubt it, because I don't want to say we are extravagant, but we want to spend the money, if you ask me.
Okay, we want to spend the money. I think you just gave a free consultation to the minister now, because that idea is worth billions. And that's one area that a lot of people have actually looked down on. Let's talk about the Ministry of Sports. Okay, the scrapping of the Ministry of Sport, and now we have Sport Commission. Do you feel that is necessary? Because some person said so much is being spent in that ministry, but then what we get in return is very small. So removing the ministry completely, is that what was supposed to be done, or to change the person in charge?
Right, I have a mixed feeling for that ministry, because I wonder why you want to scrap sports ministry. First and foremost, when you say sport, it's quite enormous.
It's enormous.
Very, very enormous. I need presidential intervention most time. And you know that it is the minister that will take some cases to the president directly. So I think they should have retained that ministry and also have the commission. It does not really... Ministry of Agriculture have over 30 agencies under it. Finance have a lot of agency under it. So it's not bad if you have the ministry, full-fledged ministry, and have agency under it. But now that you give it to Sport Commission now, I'm afraid that some things might actually suffer, except there's a direct, or that commission will be directly under presidency. I don't know how they want to do it, because a lot of things, there is no time that we don't prepare for one sport or the other as a country.
Yes.
It's a continuous, when you don't have under 17, you have under 18. When you don't have under 18, you have volleyball. When you don't have volleyball, you have basketball, you have swimming, you have
throughout the year.
Throughout the year. So it's a ministry that's supposed to be retained, if you ask me. I don't think it's a good one to actually... There are other ministries that you have let go. Okay, let's look at livestock. You understand? And Ministry of Agriculture. Is there no, livestock should have been an agency under Ministry of what? Agriculture. So I think we need to advise ourselves well in this area. For sports, I pray our sport will not suffer.
But there is this school of thought that so much is being spent there and the return it's small. And the issue of interference, we had the issue of interference, not just in sport alone. Someone says something, while you were talking about these ministers, you said something about the fact that there are some persons in the ministry who are always there, but the ministers come in because it's on an appointment basis. They come and go. And someone says something that most of the corruption cases that we have in some of these ministries come from the civil servants who are always there. They will always tell the minister, this is how it's been done. It's either you do it this way or you do it the other way. And at the end of the day, you don't get to see the support of the people in the ministry because you are not doing it their own way. Do you feel there is any way this can be checked?
Right, I think it's quite instructive for even the president to have direct intervention with the PAMSEC, because sometimes most agency, I can tell you, if the workers, the ministry, people in the ministry do not want to perform, it's pretty difficult for you to perform, except you have a lot of intervention, because they know more than you. There is no way an incoming minister will be better than the people in the ministry. They understand every nooks and crannies, what you need to know, what you need to do. So for me, I think they should be sanctioned too if there is any erring director that want to mislead or put a process into jeopardy. they need to be also sanctioned, because if we can do that very well, recall even Kiamo have issue with some agencies. He has to change a lot of director, a lot of things to suit his own agenda. I know in ministry you can't sack, you can rather transfer somebody out. It's pretty difficult to sack, but by and large I think the onus is still on the minister, the way you manage it. But going back to sports, I still have the belief that it's not a good one to actually, because there's a lot of things that it is the minister that will intervene. Then you talked about how much we spend, and I listened to, honestly, I listened to the Minister of Sport, and he said how things actually goes, that it is NFF that do more, you know, Nigeria Football Federation in terms of football. Then remember, all the sports have their own what do you call it, their own Nigeria Basketball Association. Yes, we have all this, so they have their presidents and chairman. The chairman that do a lot of things. So I think we should go back to grassroots.
But are they not answerable to the minister in charge?
They are independent. They are independent to an extent. Okay, let me give you an example. Why is it that it is not the minister that will appoint a coach for Super Eagles? You know, it is NFF. So minister will only ratify it. So that's the problem, and that's how it happened with other federations too. But then we need to go back to the grassroots. And when we say grassroots, we're talking about states. State must start to develop their sport, and that's why I'm thinking it's not discouraging. They are removing minister. What if state now said we don't need the sport commissioner again as well? You know, sometimes some state may want to copy from the federal government. It may be a bad omen that other states will now say we don't need the sports minister, sports commissioner again. Let's go and have a sport commission or sports agency. That will have killed much more in sport. And you know how much sport fetch for every country that take it much more serious. So we must go back to the grassroots and grow our sport as expected.
Okay, we must go back to the grassroots and grow our sport as expected. We're talking about the Ministry of Sport right here, where there is no Ministry of Sport anymore, but now the Commission. Not just that, other ministries were also being reshuffled. But the question is, what would this translate into at the end of the day? Now, let's look at the fact that some persons are actually thinking there are some persons that need to be in that cabinet. Some persons who are actually not part of, like you talked about Abga, you know, Ojuku's wife, Bianca, in Abga, coming to work in APC. And some persons are of the school of thought that this is in a bid to get people who are giving APC headache, all right, into, that's what some Nigerians are thinking.
Are you aware that election is coming up next year in Anambra?
In Anambra State.
And we have Abga as
the leading, yeah.
So sometimes when you try to look at it, it shows that sometimes it's to strengthen APC, you know, in other side, to make sure that they actually capture according to Ganduje. Say we'll capture every state. We know how to capture it. Maybe this is part of the capture metrics they are trying to deploy.
So in other words, it's part of the game preparing for.
You could see what VK is doing. VK is APC PDP, you know, and his influence is I think it's today. I don't know, going to have the next meeting in PDP
the
today.
next meeting.
So we are expecting maybe they will now have a decision that does not factor Wiki, because Wiki still have influence in PDP and is an APC minister.
It's an APC minister. And but then looking at the troubles, all right, in these various parties, if you look at these ministers that are being appointed, whether you like it or not, if you're being appointed by the president, you are answerable to the president, irrespective of the party you're coming from.
Yes.
Because coming to work under the president, your party will not be that relevant when you get to the round table with the president. As it is right now, do you see it as if the president right now, okay, is preparing towards 2027? And what do you think, all right, Nigerians should be looking forward to right now? Because our time is running up. We're looking at the reshuffling, the ministers and all of that, then party affiliations, people from different walks of life working in the administration of APC right now compared to the era of PDP. As it is right now, you are an economist. That's why I want to ask you this question. With the situation on ground, what do you think the government can do apart from this all-inclusiveness, okay, to at least bring a little succor? Nigerians are not asking for too much, you know,
Right.
but a little succor to what is happening right now. Because a lot of people were frowning when World Bank said, in 10 years' time, 15 years' time, make sure you maintain this economic policy.
And the suffering continues.
So what would you have to say as an economist? What's your thoughts?
Well, let's look at low-hanging fruit. I just converted my car to CNG. I expended 900,000. I wait for 3 months for myself to be called so that I can convert it. And now look at it. How many Nigerians can actually afford 900,000 to convert?
No wonder the explosion in Edo State.
Surprisingly, I was at CNG queue for 4 hours yesterday.
4 hours.
4 hours. Airport Road. So you now see that president is telling us to do this and we are seeing the opposite. So I want the president along his team to get to work. You have given us alternative to PMS. Please make it accessible and affordable so that we can have a breathing space, I must tell you. So I think government need to do the low-hanging. So imagine if all commercial vehicles in Abuja, as an example, or 80% converted to CNG. From Lugbe to Secretariat is around 800 naira. So imagine if it's now 300 naira. People will have more money in their pocket, and that's the basic economics. We must have purchasing power. Now we spend about 60% on food, 20% on transport. What about rent? School fee? How do we get to do that? Nigeria are actually suffering. Government must bring succor, and they will start with low-hanging fruit for Nigerians.
The president yesterday said something that now Nigerians have options. It's either you buy fuel for 1,000 naira or you go for the CNG.
I've just told you my experience. The CNG is 230. We are told that
not even 200.
Not 200. We are also told that another NNPC started and is selling about 430.
CNG?
So even NIPCO is cheaper than. So, and I told you I expend 4 hours to buy CNG.
And people are still converting. A lot of people will still convert.
It has not even started.
It has not even
started. And this
started.
would have been a marketing strategy that make everything easy for people. So, and I engaged a taxi man. You know what he told me? I said, okay, why haven't you convert your car? You know what he said? He said, if I convert now, that gas will be expensive again.
When everybody begin to patronize
it's not happening already.
It's happening
That's
already.
not already. So I think government need to be on work. The hand must be on deck, because most people that is working with him are telling him what is not correct. He should come to the street. According to Wiki, he said, I know. According to which Oduzo Kalu, he said president used to go out in the night to go and see what is going on. Let him come to CNG center. They always close by 10. Let him see how Nigerians are suffering to get CNG.
All right, Nigerians are suffering to get CNG, even though the president has made it very obvious and glaring that that is the next option to the scarcity of fuel and the price hike in fuel prices. Now Nigerians are going through this difficulty. What do you think will happen, according to my guest in the studio, who has actually put it, well, it's plain because he used himself as an example. And as a matter of fact, example communicate principles. Now, where are we heading to? The availability of CNG everywhere, every vehicle, commercial, private, converting to CNG. Would that bring the solution that we really need in the society? On a final note, before I let you go, what would you say to Nigerians as it is right now? Because Nigerians are going through so much. And there is this belief that the saying, people don't believe what politicians say these days because they feel they talk and they don't do, and Nigerians believe in talk and do. As it is right now, what would be your advice to the average Nigerian who is thinking and feeling that one day there will be light at the end of the tunnel, like the president have said, because you're an economist?
We hope there will be light at the end of the tunnel. But look at the indices that World Bank is giving us. They're telling us that we should expect more challenges for the next 15 years. You have also seen that they have also said our growth has dropped. It will drop to 2.9 instead of projected 3.3, 3.6 before. But for people, viewers at home, you don't need to be told that you don't engage in what you want, but you engage in what you need, because your need is priority. So you must check yourself and make sure that you go for what you actually need: feeding, shelter, and clothing. That's the basic thing. You must make sure you achieve that.
Thank you very much. You must make sure you achieve that, and that is cutting your clothes, okay, according to the size of the cloth, but not the size of your body. Well,